Obtaining and spending your crystals wisely is at the core of Heroic Anthem Kingdom versus Kingdom. It's going to determine what research you will be able to obtain, and that research will determine how you get your season coins and what rewards you can get. So stick around in this video for a full breakdown of everything we know about the best ways to obtain and spend your precious crystals. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chiscool Gaming, a sponsored content creator for Rise of Kingdoms. We spent $750 to get this account into Heroic Anthem KvK to bring you this information. So consider subscribing and throwing a like on the video if you appreciate the work that goes into making this content for you. Let's get started by talking about where you get crystals. Then we'll talk about where we recommend you spend those crystals, and we'll have timestamps, so of course you can jump to whatever portion of the video you are most interested in. So let's first start with generation of crystals, and the place we need to kick this off at is the crystal mine. This is the premier way you will generate crystals in Heroic Anthem KvK. This is a structure that you can level up to 25. You will use building speedups to do that, and the grand total for the number of speedups you will need to max out this building, if you choose to do so, and not all players will, is going to be about 80 days of speedups in total for all levels to get to 25. That is an estimate, but I am pretty confident that 80 days will get the job done for your crystal mine. Now, the higher level your crystal mine is, the higher your max workload will be, and the more crystals you can get per hour. You can see that when we go into the crystal mine, we can queue up more crystals to be harvested. That costs resources, and it's about 12,000 resources, split evenly, by the way, for each 1,000 crystals that we're harvesting, which is not cheap, but honestly, it's fine. You're going to have enough resources to run your crystal mine, and you are going to want your crystal mine to be running pretty much all the time. There'll be some exceptions to that, but we'll talk about that toward the end of the video. So the majority of your crystal production will come from the crystal mine and the boosts that you get to your crystal mine work speed. There are a number of ways you can get that through completion of Bastion Quests and leveling up Bastions. Now, Bastions are a very important topic. So important, you can see it's got its own search menu when we zoom out on the map here. When we go and get a look at one of these Bastions, let's make our way to Sun Tzu. These are basically quest parks, and you can participate in these quests if and only if your coalition connects territory to the Bastion. The coalition refers to a collection of alliances that have grouped together in-game. So yeah, there are going to be a lot of players grouped together, and any one alliance from the coalition touches the Bastion, boom, you can do these quests for that Bastion. Bastion quests are going to have a variety of rewards. We're just going to focus on the crystals in this video, which you can see for this particular quest is 7,000 crystals. The amount of crystals you get from this can be leveled up based on your research, and in addition, you're going to be gaining favor with this Bastion. Think of it like you're leveling it up, and it's kind of like experience points for the Bastion. The more leveled up your Bastion is, the higher your crystal mine work speed is going to be. You can see that you gain about 1.5%, in fact, it's exactly 1.5% per level as you level this thing up, except level 10, which is a good bit more. You can see it levels up roughly evenly 1.5% extra crystal mine work speed, and that is your crystal mine in your city based on this thing getting leveled up. The other reason you're going to want to level these up is to get support skills, but we've talked about that in a separate video. They're amazing. I'll have a card up in the top. You can watch that after this one. So you're going to want to do the 15 Bastion quests you're limited to every single day. And we can head over to the Bastion section of Heroic Anthem to see every Bastion quest that is available to you. Again, you have to have at least one alliance from your coalition connecting to one of the Bastions for a commander in order to start accepting their quests and leveling them up. And your level for any given commander is going to be the same across all of the Bastions that that commander is stationed at. So you can see if I select Joan of Arc, she's actually positioned in many places on the map. All of those are highlighted right above my hand here, but her level is going to be the same in every one of them. The quest you would get from her is the same in every one of them, and so on. Bastion quests are going to vary tremendously. Some of them are going to be very easy and as simple as collecting a rune 3 times. Other Bastion quests I found to be astonishing, and I mean, Lilith changed up the KvK rewards so that, hey, you get more material crates. They also have Bastion quests that are going to take materials from you in order to complete them. Is what it is. At least it's a small amount of materials, and at least they can be done very quickly, I guess. So that, the major trade-off that I have seen with these Bastion quests is that the ones that kind of cost you the most to get done are the ones that theoretically could take you the least time to do. The ones that cost you the least generally take more time. So battling barbarians is the thing that probably costs you the least because you had free action points accumulating anyways. That's the sort of quest that's kind of a pain in the butt, but you go out and you do it. This account is too level to go and do that, so I'm stuck there. And you'll find, by the way, that there will be some quests that you end up avoiding on your account. For instance, you may find yourself avoiding training quests. That's right. Troop training is going to be a thing that potentially shows up in here, and you might want to just save those up across a whole bunch of different commanders so that you can do a whole bunch of training quests all at once during a troop training event where you've got a kingdom buff going. Otherwise, some of these are going to be a pain in the butt. You're going to have to either soldier through them or you are stuck. And there was rumor that you could cycle your way out of a Bastion quest by accepting it, waiting the requisite 15 hours. That's right, 15 hours after you accept it to have it expire. And I'll show you that right now. I've accepted the quest. You can see it has a 15-hour timer on it. Let me tell you, I've accepted this quest from this Bastion commander like 4 times now and let it expire, and I keep getting the exact same quest. So I don't think there's any way around at this time. The quest that they're offering you, you either do it or you're stuck. So in a moment, I'm going to share with you the grand total amount of crystals I think is reasonable to get in a day. But first, I want to show you just a couple more ways that you can get crystals. One of them is going to be fully 100% free to you. That is on your territory. You're going to accumulate crystals just like you would other resources from your alliance territory. When I hit claim, I'm going to get these 15,000 crystals, which is pretty awesome. The next way that you can get crystals that we do need to talk about is spending, naturally. You can do some amount of spending to get crystals, and the longer you wait to claim those crystals, the juicier the reward is. So if you can see right over here, there is a premium season crystal supply that's going to give you 60,000 crystals a day. The sooner you buy that, the better, if you're going to buy it at all, and that costs only $5, which, by the way, gives nearly as many crystals. If you can believe it, it gives nearly as many crystals as the Conqueror's Will bundle, which costs $185. But the Conqueror's Will is going to give those to you all up front and at once, which is a big deal. The major downside of this bundle over here, the premium season crystal supply, is that by the time your season is really on the verge of ending, you are not going to need these crystals. 60,000 crystals is just like, it may not be relevant at all. So this is really only mostly relevant at the beginning, and it's so many crystals overall and such good value that it's something that I think is probably the very first place you go to pick up some crystals for Heroic Anthem if you are spending. And if you were wondering the entire contents of that crystal bundle that you could purchase for $185 total, here is the work courtesy of 1359. They've put together this chart showcasing the total number of crystals, speed ups, and resources obtainable from this bundle. And that is a cool 3.6 million crystals. And by the way, keep in mind, you're getting 3 million crystals for $5 from that bundle that is giving them to you, 60,000 at a time, which has some serious downsides. So thank you again, 1359, for putting together this diagram. There is, however, one other bundle that is purchasable that I took screenshots of that we need to go and get a look at. When Pass 7 was about to open, this bundle, Mountain Warfare, showed up. Now, I spent a lot of money getting this account into Heroic Anthem KvK, and I was not about to spend another $100 on a bundle that really doesn't have value for this account. But in the Mountain Warfare bundle, I just want to call attention to the fact that they are offering a massive amount of crystals. To me, this seems like for a big spender who wants to level up some war tech right before the biggest fight of KvK begins, this would be a bundle you look at. I assume you can only purchase one time at each tier. So we're looking at like $185 total. And it looks like the crystal reward is straight up 4 times the crystal reward of Conqueror's Will. However, the volume of speed ups and resources contained in this bundle is much lower. So my expectation, if you go in and max purchase the Mountain Warfare bundle when you are about to enter past 7 in Heroic Anthem, is that you would get a lot of crystals out of the deal, but not nearly as many speed ups or resources, which, hey, the way I think about buying crystals for this is that you're sort of on the reverse end of a speed up. A speed up you can use to train troops, to heal troops, and to win events, quite frankly, which gives you legendary commander sculptures. But leveling up your technology if you're a rally lead or garrison captain is sort of a troop mitigation. It's the opposite end of having to train new troops. It's preventing them from dying in the first place by virtue of having better technology. So that's one way to recontextualize crystals, which honestly are very ephemeral. All of your research and your crystal mine and all that research center, which you level up, it's all going to go away at the end of KvK. The last bundle I wanted to showcase was a bundle that will appear as you level up your crystal mine and your crystal research center. When I hit, for instance, level 15, I got offered this $5 bundle, which has a cool 550,000 crystals. I mean, you don't have to think too hard to say, okay, $185 for 3.6 million. Here is just $5 for 550,000. Yeah, this is the better deal by far. So just like how you got bundles when you leveled up your city hall toward 25, this is a bundle that as you're leveling up your mine and your research center, it's going to only last for an hour, but is really great value if you are spending on this sort of thing. I personally will be on my main account. If you were wondering, by the way, what a maxed out crystal mine would look like, here is a maxed out crystal mine from a player that has been grinding the heck out of their Bastion Quests and did pick up the season supply bundle, which, by the way, also gives you a 50% boost to your crystal production. It is actually like a really, that's a really good $5. Of all the bundles, I would say the daily supply is your starting point. The ones that you get along the way for leveling up your buildings is the next great place to go. Last place to look is those more expensive bundles. And, the Mountain Warfare bundle is the most value-oriented of those 4 crystals if that's what you're going to hunt. There is one other thing you can do to get some crystals that we found, and that is battling Kahars. I don't have any of the whistles required to summon one of those Kahars now, but you get them from Bastion Quests, and they give you some amount of crystals in the realm of 30,000 or more, depending on how much you have leveled up the research associated with Kahars. So I'm going to put up onto the screen the number of crystals I think is reasonable to obtain in a 24-hour period if you did go in and purchase that $5 bundle to improve your crystal mine function and to get the daily crystal reward. And I'll just add that, hey, if you don't purchase it, just remove some of that mine boost and remove the bundles portion from the calculus here. So with all of that baked in, it's about 750,000 crystals a day. That sounds like the amount that you would get in Heroic Anthem KvK. Without having the spending done, I'd guess that's closer to 650,000. I haven't actually done the math. I'm just shooting from the hip there. And by the way, now that we have looked at all of those different ways to get crystals, we can go and look in my main account, which is in the Eve of the Crusade right now, and we can evaluate the number of crystals you would get from ranking in the Eve of the Crusade. And I'm going to tell you, just as a spoiler alert, the amount of crystals you get from the Eve of the Crusade is honestly, it's not all that impressive. Okay, you can see here, if I'm rank, let's go to a reasonable rank, 21 to 50, right? That is not a ton of crystals. 250,000 crystals, right? Like a third of what you get in a day. It's not a meaningful amount of crystals. And even if you push like crazy, yeah, you get some crystals, but it's like a million-ish. A day's worth of crystal production once you're up and running. Honestly, it's great, it's helpful, but it's not a life-changing amount of crystals. Crystals should not be the reason that you go 100% ham in the Eve of the Crusade. It should be because you want to help your kingdom. It's your good nature. So now that we've explained how many crystals you can pull down a day, again, I think a number that is reasonable is between 500 to 750,000 crystals. Let's talk about spending them in the Crystal Research Center, which, yes, this is a building that too will need to be leveled up, and doing so is going to require crystals and a not small amount of them as it gets higher and higher level. The advantage of leveling up your Crystal Research Center is a crystal research cost reduction. However, I want to call attention to the fact that the amount of crystals you're going to save by virtue of leveling this thing up is very, very small. I'm going to put some math up onto the screen that basically demonstrates it's not worth leveling up the Crystal Research Center just to get the research cost reduction. In other words, the amount of crystals your average or reasonable player is going to go and collect based on everything we just showed you, that 750,000 a day crystal generation. Based on that figure, you don't need to update your Crystal Research Center just to get this research cost reduction. That's not the main reason. The reason you're going to update your Crystal Research Center and level it up, which by the way is going to take a grand total of about 80 days worth of speed ups if you are speeding everything up. That only seems like a thing that is worth doing if you actually need to have your Crystal Center leveled up for the next research you want to do. And yeah, there's research in here, which let me go and actually find some that requires this. It's going to require your research center to be higher level, in addition to requiring a bunch of the previous technology. So this is where you're going to be spending all of your crystals in the Crystal Research Center. And by the way, I should mention that after helps, the final level of these buildings is about 10 days of speed ups to get the job done if you want to speed them up. And these are buildings you are going to want to speed up. I'm going to give you two really amazing pro tips here. The first is for the crystal mine. If you queue up crystal mine work and then upgrade it, your miners will work the entire time that the building is upgrading potentially. That is going to depend on your capacity and how long your miners can run for. There will be research, by the way, that increases the amount of capacity that your mine has, which could make it so that you could theoretically upgrade this building without using a speed up and not lose any of your crystal production. But as this building gets higher and higher level, you will lose some crystal production if you don't use speed ups, because you can't actually open up the building to queue up more crystal mine research. You must queue this up before you start upgrading the building. The other building where I think it's really important to go and speed up is this one right over here. It's the Research Center. And I've talked about this a long time ago based on the Academy as well. The Academy, your training buildings, and the Crystal Research Center are areas where you can't be upgrading the building and doing research or training troops at the same time. So those are buildings you always want to speed up because it's 2-for-1 double duty. Not only did you finish the building sooner, but you got to start the research sooner, or you got to start the training sooner. You get 2-for-1 value on your speed ups. So these are buildings you definitely want to be speeding up. And for most players, based on all the feedback I've received, is that you are going to have more crystals than you know what to do with because you're going to need speed ups to get research done. And depending on how your KvK is going, you're either going to feel like, man, I really need to go and get more research so we can win. Or in the case of the first season of Heroic Anthem here for Kingdom 2, a lot of folks have stopped spending speed ups here on research because at this point, the KvK is in a really good place for them. They don't need to spend speed ups to get more technology to try to win it. They're just going to kind of cash in the victory at this point. And so they're saving those speed ups for another KvK. A very fair question to ask would be, hey, like how many speed ups am I going to need for this stuff? And I don't have a complete answer here. What I can do is I can show you some of the initial research is only like a day and 15 hours. It's pretty fast. It requires a moderate amount of crystals, but there is other war technology as an example that is going to require, you can see there's a chain of requirements here. I got to go all the way back to this one. It's going to require more and more time. This is 6 hours and 32 minutes. Taking a big step back as we talk about the research that you're going to be doing, it's in two different branches. Fundamental, which is kind of the economic technology, and then military, which is, of course, the war technology. The rewards you get from these vary, and pretty much all the way down the line, the more advanced technologies will require the previous technologies, so it's not like you can skip stuff and get around needing things. So for example, if I wanted to increase my crystal workload, as I was describing earlier, I'm going to have to get the two things that lead up to it maxed out. That's wheelbarrow and skillful operation. So both of those, I'm going to have to get the ones before that maxed out. And you see where this is going. The research that you have in the economic technology is all about efficiency, ranging from having more crystal workload to having more action points. The number one research that I think you need to focus on in the fundamental technology is reducing the crystal cost of doing your research. Here you can see to take this to level 5, it's going to be 151,000 crystals, and it's going to take me over 3 days before helps to get that done. Of course, you can get a rune, you can time this with a kingdom buff, and do all the usual things like getting a title that would make this research time decrease. For more advanced players or spenders, they are going to make their way deeper into the tree over here. And if you get skillful operation at the highest tier, you can reduce the crystal cost even further, which seems like a strong play. If at all possible, on my main account, I'm going to try to make a push in fundamental technology, getting as far as I can toward maxing out skillful operation, and then perhaps working on skillful operation 2. And then I'm going to try to get a bunch of war tech lined up before pass 4 opens and we're battling against another kingdom or multiple kingdoms. The military technology, on the other hand, is much more what we're used to seeing. You've got attack for each of the unit types. You've got defense for each of the unit types. You've got some damage dealt to barbarians, as well as damage taken reduction from barbarians. And yeah, the barbarians are very difficult to deal with in this KvK. You've got some troop capacity boosting, and this seems like a really great thing to get. It will, however, require you to get increasing levels of previous technology, as I was describing before. So it's a lot of crystals to level this thing up, but you can get an additional 10% troop capacity out of the deal. However, for those of you that do advance far into the military technology, Plunder is a really solid one for increasing the number of crystals you get from those hidden Kahars. There's sort of 2 schools of thought, I think, on how to approach Kahars. One is to say, wait to battle any Kahars until you max out some of the technology that will give you more rewards for battling Kahars. The other is to say, hey, if I need crystals, I better go battle them, get crystals, and then do what I need to do. I generally am more in that school of thought, but I could see how perhaps either will work out to be the best case. We've got more boosting of attack and defense, and at the top end of things here, the most interesting ones are Call to Arms 2, where you can get 40% extra troop capacity, which is pretty nutty. And here is the moneymaker. Troop capacity when rallying player cities, as well as damage increase. Damage increase. Oh, man. That is savage. Damage dealt by troops is increased. That is a lot of damage boost, 30%. But most players aren't going to have the speed ups or crystals to get this far into the trees. However, regardless of how far you get, every single thing you research is going to give you some number of season coins. We, of course, did some math to figure out exactly how many season coins we thought was reasonable. There are 365 total technologies that can be researched, 135 of those in fundamental tech, 230 in war tech. And if you estimate that it's somewhere between, on average, like 1,500 to maybe 1,700 coins per research that you do, that means that the total number of maximum coins you might get out of the deal is 620,000. That is if the average number of coins per research that you do is 1,700, and the number of coins just goes up. Just to give you an example of some more expensive research, and thank you, Baichara, for sending me these screenshots. You can see here taking reinforcement, which is increasing your city's reinforcement capacity from level 2 to 3, is 101,000 crystals and gives 1,000 of the season coins. Looking to some more advanced things, the second tier of war technology for cavalry, this is cavalry attack from 3 to 4, is going to require 135,000 crystals, and it's 24 hours of speed ups to get it done, 1,600 season coins to do that. In order to even start working on defense 2 for a certain unit type, you're going to have to take the associated attack research up to level 5. Here's a lower level of leather armor. It's about 67,000 crystals, 1,400 of the season coins. You get the idea. The higher level these are, the more coins or currency they're going to offer you, but they all have a lot of requirements. So getting far in the tree, for instance, here's a more advanced one. Quenched Blades 2 from level 5 to 6. So this is adding 2% infantry attack. It gives you 2,000 season coins, and you're going to have a 337,000 crystal cost, which actually is not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things when you think about getting 750,000 a day. It's actually fine. The key here is the speed ups, right? You're going to be getting crystals faster than you can spend them in most cases, unless you're going to be using some speed ups. And in general, Heroic Anthem really is oriented towards players that are already max research and max tech. That way they can spend the speed ups over here that they can't spend anywhere else. If you haven't already maxed your technology that is going to be permanent for your account, save your speed ups for that rather than spending them on the things that are not permanent. And then thank you again, Baichara, for all the information you've shared with me here around this KvK. So if we look in at those rewards, in the context of Chisquel thinking that perhaps the maximum is somewhere between 500 and 700 or maybe 650,000 season coins. If we go look at the rewards in the shop here, you are kind of limited in the number of things you can do. I think that a season skin, a city skin over here, is not obtainable for most players in one season of a KvK. You're going to have to hold on to the currency for another round. I do think that getting 1 to 2 of these patterns is pretty reasonable. Most players will probably get enough currency to get one of these. And in the grand scheme of things, if you are hunting for some of these legendary patterns, they're very powerful. I'll point you toward perhaps Ring of Doom, Horn of Fury as the stronger items in here. Concealed Dagger also looks like an interesting one to me. I personally will be avoiding spending my currency on the legendary commander sculptures and material chests. In fact, I anticipate not spending a single season coin on those items because I can get those other ways, but there is no other way in the game to get these accessory patterns. And we assume they'll be back next KvK. We don't know if they'll be back next KvK. Maybe this whole shop will be different. We just don't know. My assumption is that it'll honestly be the exact same shop for quite some time, or perhaps with each season, maybe they'll add 1 or 2 things, because the volume of rewards in here is designed to be more than you can get in one KvK. That is very intentional, and they're giving you choice, and I think that choice is a good thing. So you can get what is most important for your account. So to summarize everything we talked about, if you're maxing your crystal mine and your research center, you're going to need a total of 80 days of speed ups each. However, most players, I think, don't need to update their crystal mine unless they actually need it in order to get to the next tier of research. And for most players, they'll probably stop in the realm of level 15 to 18, I would guess. And of course, if you think you're going to need it, the sooner you upgrade it, the better. However, for most players, the ROI isn't there. In addition, this means that you're going to be pulling down, my guess, between 500 to 750,000 crystals a day. And if you're not a spender and you don't have a ton of research speedups saved up, then you're going to have more crystals than you know what to do with. However, if you have accumulated a lot of speedups, you'll find a way to burn through those, and you might consider getting the bundles that are available. The best bundles you can get are, of course, available as you're leveling up your mine and research center as you go. However, the Conqueror's Will be your everyday option, and the Mountain War bundle will give you way more crystals, but only be available before Pass 7 opens. At least, that's the only time we saw it pop up. I will be hunting this time around to see if Pass 4 has something in store for us. If you enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor, throw a like on here. Took a good bit more effort to go and round up all this information, which I hope has been helpful to you. Consider subscribing for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos designed to help you get value and smash your enemies. And if you're looking for more to watch about Heroic Anthem, we've got an entire playlist dedicated to this topic, and we will be live streaming our own entrance into Heroic Anthem KvK on our main account, where we will be sparing no expense, my friends, to push the max on tech, to push the bounds on what can be done with an account, and give you the very best advice possible for how to enter into Heroic Anthem and have a great freaking start. So if you want to see that, again, subscribe so you don't miss that live stream. Remember to tune in, because for us, we're in stage 1 right now of the eve of the Crusade. We're doing very well in Kingdom 75. We have a very high level of activity. I have proven already mathematically it is correct to hunt Marauders. We have over 6,500 data points for the chests that they drop, and the loot is amazing. I'll have a card up in the top for the video where we walked through that because it is super valuable. And for real this time, okay, for real this time, I'll end the video. Tune into that live stream, and until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom, and thank you for watching.